Good morning, friends and fiends, and welcome back to Wobblerocket. We are going to do something a little bit different today. I am not feeling great in the epilepsy department today. Nothing serious, it's just I've been on antibiotics for about a week, and if you're not familiar with epilepsy, antibiotics can decrease your seizure threshold, and it's just kind of one of those things that I've had a lot of brain fog and things like that. So what I'm going to do today, instead of playing video games, because video games are more visual stimuli, which can cause more issues with epilepsy, I'm just going to do sort of like a just chatting stream today. And we are going to just answer questions and chat, and I don't actually see anybody in chat at the moment, so that may be a little bit tricky. You'll notice that the lighting is a little bit different today. I don't have my major floodlight turned on, and it feels like my music is a little loud, so let me tweak that down just a little bit. Hopefully you guys can still hear that. So yeah, we will just kind of push through this and see how it goes. If nobody pops in a little bit, we'll maybe shut this one down sooner, but it's very difficult to play video games when you have photosensitive epilepsy, when you're having symptoms of it. And that's kind of been one of those things that this week, as I've been on the antibiotics, and I was on the antibiotics for a sinus infection, and that has mostly cleared up. I'm still a little congested in the head a little bit, but so it's always a catch-22 when you have a chronic illness like epilepsy, because you get sick and that decreases your seizure threshold. And then if you end up having to do any kind of medication for it, a lot of times those medications can interfere with your anti-epileptic medication. So it can take a little while for things to kind of stabilize out, and I figure they will. I finished up my last dose of antibiotics a day or two ago, so things should stabilize out in the next day or two. But it's just been a matter of kind of taking things easy and figuring things out from there. So yeah, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm just going to kind of answer questions and just chat and things like that. Hold on just 1 second. Drop. There we go. I just kind of pinged some folks in my Discord, so maybe I'll get a couple of folks in here to actually chat with a little bit. You're kind of stuck by yourself whenever there's nobody in the chat stream at the moment. There's Stonehome Games. Hello, how are you doing? Congrats on making it to the second round of the World Anvil awards. Really proud of you guys for that. Hopefully we'll start to see you guys moving into the upper echelons of everything. Stonehome Games says good, tired but good. Oh, I feel that. I am tired this morning too. Fern, hello, welcome in. Stone Home Game says, thanks, man. It's a big deal. So is there another round after this one, or is this the final round of voting? I'm not super familiar with the World Anvil Awards, so I don't really know how all that goes. Fern, how are you doing today? Stonehome Game says this is the final round. Okay, cool. Hold on 1 second, and let me pull that up. I will drop a link. Burn says pretty good. Working on my own game at the moment. Are we talking like a video game or a tabletop RPG? I just dropped a link in chat. That's where you can go and vote for Dramaria. It is, they're in the running for a couple of different awards at the moment. They are in the running for Best World, Best Article, the Rise of Nations category, the Strength and Honor category, and Pillars of Progress. I'm particularly interested in the Pillars of Progress category because it has the article that made it into that one is the Klaxon Thresher, which is a really, really cool construct creature. Fern, I don't think you can drop links in chat. I think only I can. So if you are in my Discord, you can drop me a link to it there and I will take a look at it. Drew Makes, welcome in. Howdy Wobble fan. You're the passenger while I drive to work. Hope that you are driving safe. Stonehome Game says World Anvil's great if you're willing to invest the time, but it's a steep learning curve and costs money. Cass, welcome in. Hello, hello, hello. Stonehome Game says our players ran away from the Thresher and our playtest freaked out by it. AV64 Dancer, welcome in. Is the music, can you guys hear the background music okay? Is it too loud or too quiet or anything like that? Let me know, and just drop a mention in chat, and I'll see what I need to do to tweak that if I need to. We are listening to some chill sounds from a group called the Relaxed Movement. Stonehome Game says the music is just right. Okay, that's good to hear. So I wanted to show off a couple of things today. You guys know I usually start my stream showing off some treasures, and I've been collecting a lot of enamel pins lately. Though I don't have a huge collection at this point. So I wanted to show off a couple of those. Some of them I've shown off on other streams already, but this was the first one that I picked up. It is from The Hobbit. I'm not sure how well that focuses, especially without the big floodlight on, but it is Smaug from The Hobbit flying over the Lonely Mountain. And then I picked up just a nice little NASA pin. I'm a big fan of NASA. These two I got somewhat recently, and let me see if I can remember. I think the name is Cat Haven, maybe. I can't remember of the name of the I can't remember the name of the vendor that did these, but I really like them. They are a pair of cats that are modeled after the white mage and black mage from Final Fantasy. And I'm gonna have to look that up at some point and figure out the name of them, and I'll probably mention them like in the next weekly wobble or something like that. I got these two from the little local gaming store. There's a board game night on Wednesday nights. Depending on how I'm feeling, I might try to go to it tonight. But whenever I go there, because you're just playing board games, I always want to buy something just to support the shop. And they have had a lot of really cool enamel pins. So I got this one, which is Gizmo from the Gremlins. Which, fun story, Gremlins absolutely terrified me as a kid. I love the movie, but there is a scene where like they start playing this song called Do You See What I See? And that song, for whatever reason, has always creeped me out. And to this day, I get the heebie-jeebies when I hear it. So I really like this pin. I think it's really fun. And then this is the last one that I've got. It is a alien popping out of a cardboard box. And Alien franchise is one of my favorite movies as well. So let's get caught up on chat for a second. Cass says, Wobbs, here's a good AMA start. What's the go-to playlist like? Lately, I've been listening to an awful lot of Mainskin. But my playlists, my music tastes jump around all the time. Sometimes I will just listen to a whole bunch of old video game music. I've been revisiting Disturbed. I'm not sure why. That is a huge throwback to like when I was a teenager. I sometimes go on like an Appalachian folk, kind of weird, dark folk, you know, coal miners singing about how the company is destroying them kind of thing. Let's see, what else have I listened to lately? The other day I was listening to an awful lot of like old school Fall Out Boy, like their first album. And it's really interesting to see like how that has changed compared to their more recent work. Fern says, I sent you a link on Discord. Okay, so let me check that out. I can get Discord to... Oh, that's right. Fern works on Hellborn Descended. I should have known that. For some reason, I forgot that that was the project that you're working on. I have watched... I watched Rain Grimm was in one of your playtests, I think. And I watched that. And that seems like a really cool system. I haven't had a chance to really download and look through it or anything, but I have seen a lot of chatter about the Hellborn Descended TTRPG, and I'm really curious about that one. So let me see real quick if I can know why that is showing up like that. Okay, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Trying to see if I can pull this up for a second. I was gonna try to pull that up, but my brain fog is not working well enough to figure out how to pull it up on the stream at the moment. So yeah, check out the Hellborn Descended Kickstarter. I'm gonna drop a link to that in chat. I've heard really good things about this project. I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but I know a lot of people have been talking about it, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. So Fern, thank you for mentioning that. Stonehome Games says, are you going to have a pin board or a sash or something to hang your enamel pins on? At the moment, I do not. I actually just have a backpack that I take with me when I go to the coffee shop or things like that. And I have a bunch of my pins just stuck to the backpack. If I get enough pins, I will probably do like a pin board or a sash. Trial Fan says, we not gaming today. Ooh, I like the cat pins. Yeah, with the antibiotics that I've been on, the epilepsy has just been a little funky. I woke up this morning with a headache, and I've had a lot of brain fog and stuff. So I don't want to risk it by trying to play video games and possibly making that worse. So I'm just trying to take it real easy. So I figured today, instead of canceling stream, I didn't want to do that. I figured we would just chat and answer questions and things like that. Stonehome Games says, ooh, Disturbed Stonehome, you'll like that. Cass says, ooh, we gotta swap folk. I listen to a lot of Neo-Celtic. I love concertinas. I'm not super familiar with that. Stonehome Games says, I just found it in the promo channel, ignore me. So like I said, this is just going to be kind of an ask me anything sort of stream. So you know, this is a great time for you guys to drop questions. If you have any questions you want to know about epilepsy, if you want to know about my thoughts on tabletop role-playing games, retro video games, coffee, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. I don't know how long this stream will be. Kind of depends on how active it is. It, you know, drops to a really big lull, we may cut it short. You know, my streams usually run about 2 hours. So, you know, we'll kind of just play it by ear and see how things are going. Let's see. Check on a couple of other things that I got going on here. I don't usually check other messages and stuff while I've got my stream going, because usually I'm playing video games. But this one's a little bit different. It's a little bit unusual for me. I've never done a just chatting stream before. This is the first time I've ever done one. So, you know, the format is a little bit unusual to me, and it's a little bit out of my element. So yeah, like I said, pop your questions into chat and we will answer them. We'll talk and we'll see where things go. I've been putting a lot of work into my own tabletop role-playing game campaign setting, which I usually use for Dungeons and Dragons. Although I'm finding that my the rule set that I use deviates more and more and more away from the standard rule set for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I'm finding that I am leaning more towards like an old school type of game, where the rules are a little more minimalist, and you rely a little bit more on common sense and figuring out, you know, just deciding at the table, letting the dungeon master decide at the table where things go from there. I was looking at, I mentioned this in my weekly Wobble newsletter, but I had just recently found a really cool alchemy setup from a blogger called Beneath Foreign Planets. And it's really cool because basically what you do is, instead of having a whole bunch of really complicated things, you basically just have a couple of factors. You have an oil, a powder, and a catalyst. And the oil provides an adjective, the powder provides a noun, and then the catalyst provides like a tone. And so some of the examples that they give is that, like, you might have let's see. Well, I can pull up 1 second. So you might have an herb or something that you find, that your players can find in your game, that can turn into an oil, and it has the adjective persuasive. And then you may have another herb that has can turn into a powder, and its noun is charm, right? So you put together persuasive and charm. Okay, that makes me think that maybe this potion makes the character gain advantage on persuasion checks or charisma checks or something like that, right? But what if you have another herb and its powder is fire, right? And then you have they combine the oil that has the persuasive tag and the powder of fire. Okay, well, what does persuasive fire mean? And that makes me think of, like, okay, maybe it's a potion that lets you command fire elementals or something like that. It's a really interesting system, and I like the way that it kind of just pushes it rather than giving you a specific idea of what the different reagents creates. I like that it sort of forces you to think creatively. So it's something I've been playing around with a little bit, and I think I'm going to use it in my games in the future. And then the catalyst, what it does is it determines the strength of resulting creation. And catalysts are supposed to be something that isn't consumed. So it might be something like a unicorn horn, or it could be a particular magical cauldron or something like that. Cass says the 5e that we play at my table is such a variant at this point that we might as well be playing a different game. Stonehome Games says, as a rules minimalist, I like hearing that. Kayla, welcome in. Hello, hello. For those who are just joining the chat, we are not doing my usual Minecraft stream today because I'm not feeling great. So we're just doing kind of a just chatting stream and answering questions, things like that. So if you have any questions that you'd like to answer, that you'd like me to answer, drop them in the chat and we will talk about them. We've been talking about enamel pins, we've been talking about music, we've talked about a couple of things related to tabletop role-playing games. So yeah, just anything you want known, anything you want to know, drop in the chat and we'll talk about it. I have been in the mood lately to play some kind of video game, and I'm not sure what I want to play. I keep looking through Steam, trying to find something that I want to get into. This would not be something that I would play on stream, just something for my own enjoyment. But I'm finding it difficult to find a game that's really kind of catching my attention. Stonehome Games says best Mega Man. I gotta go with Mega Man X for the Super NES. And that is probably my all-time favorite as far as games from the Mega Man series, but there are so many good games in that series. I really liked Mega Man X4 for the Sony PlayStation. Mega Man 2 for the NES is probably my favorite on that system. I haven't played a lot of the older classic Mega Mans. I've played the X series a lot more often. And I really enjoyed the Mega Man Zero series on the handheld systems. Those are a little bit different because instead of having, you know, like a they don't have the level based system quite as much. They're more of like an open world Metroidvania style. But I really enjoyed them. They're a lot of fun. Cass says, do you have a particular genre of game that you're craving? I'm actually kind of craving like an MMO, like a massively multiplayer. And that's tricky because right now I don't have the my go-to would be either World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14. And right now I just don't have the income to justify a $15 a month membership. So I'm looking at like free-to-play style games there. I might give Warframe a try. I've heard people rave about Warframe. I'm not sure if it's quite what I'm looking for. I downloaded Black Desert Online again yesterday, but I downloaded it late last night and I haven't played it yet. So I did enjoy that one. It's very, very grindy, and that might be kind of a little bit what I'm looking for at the moment. Bearded Halfling, welcome in. We are just doing kind of an Ask Me Anything, just chatting sort of stream today. So we're talking about tabletop role-playing games, we're talking about epilepsy, we're talking about video games. Cass says, maybe old school RuneScape. I have never played any of the RuneScape games. I haven't played old school. I haven't played the, I guess, what is the new school RuneScape. I've never played those at all. I might give it a shot. I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, the style of RuneScape has never really caught my eye all that much. I did enjoy EverQuest 2, and I might actually load that one up because EverQuest 2 really kind of scratches the itch a little bit. Lord of the Rings Online is really good too. I like that one a lot because it's chill and it's a great way to kind of explore the lore of Lord of the Rings. And you know, for the most part, it's pretty true to the books. So I might go for that. I don't know. But yeah, I've been kind of in the mood for something like that. The problem, of course, that you run into with a lot of free-to-play MMOs is the cash shops tend to be a little predatory, and depending on the game, they can be they can very quickly push you into a point where it's like you can't do anything unless you spend money. So it just sort of depends on the game a little bit. I do like the more active combat that is in Black Desert, though. Although the classic style, you know, from EverQuest 2 and Lord of the Rings Online. I haven't tried Dungeons and Dragons Online, which I think uses sort of like a version of the 3rd edition rule set. unless they've updated it. I think at the time it used the version of the 3rd edition rule set. Stonehome Games says the Neverwinter game was that way. Had to pay to unlock bag spaces. Yeah. Which, if it's a one-time purchase and you get it forever, that's okay. I don't remember what game I was playing, but there was one, and it was like you can unlock bag spaces, but you only get them for 30 days. And I thought that was obnoxious, and I uninstalled the game. Stonehome Games says old school D&D Online uses 3rd edition. The Neverwinter version is more active combat. Okay. Bearded Halfling says, I've never really played MMOs, so definitely no clue. Not really an MMO because you mostly play it solo, but I really like Path of Exile. And although I've really struggled to get into the most recent seasons of it. I think it's just from playing through the main campaign so many times it's obnoxious. I haven't played Path of Exile 2 yet. I need to give that one a shot. Bearded Halfling says, I never liked having to pay a subscription for a game you also have to buy. Yes, absolutely. I would rather it be a free download and you pay a subscription, or if you pay once, you get to play it for free. That's why I did enjoy Elder Scrolls Online. I hate the combat in it. The combat in Elder Scrolls Online is terrible. But I did like that you pay for it once, and I think I got it on sale for like $7 or something. Pay it once, and then you don't have to pay a subscription fee to get it. Although it does have a cash shop kind of thing too. Bearded Halfling, congrats on you just hit what, 700 subscribers on YouTube? Your YouTube channel is taking off like crazy, doing really, really well with that. So congrats on that one. I need to get caught up on your last couple of videos. As far as WobbleFit news goes, I went yesterday. I went yesterday and I did a very short walk at the park. I gotta be honest, guys, I have fallen off the horse as far as WobbleFit goes, because this being sick for the last 2 weeks has just wrecked my progress on that. But I got out to the park yesterday. It was a really pretty day, and I did a walk. I couldn't manage a whole lot because the antibiotics have got my stomach just ripped to shreds. But I'm feeling a little bit better in that department today, so I think I'm going to try to do another walk later on after this stream is over. I haven't weighed in, I haven't done any of that kind of stuff. Although when I went to my doctor last week, by their scales, you know, and doctor's office scales are always the difficult ones. They said I had lost 17 pounds, so that felt pretty good. They were pretty pleased with that. So, you know, it was I'm in the process of trying to get back into the swing of things with WobbleFit. I need to kind of sit down probably this afternoon and do some meal planning and figure out what I want to eat this week, and try to get back on track with that. So I don't think I've gained any weight over the 2 weeks because I haven't really felt like eating all that much. but it's like I said, it's just kind of stalled a little bit. So we're gonna get back to doing the exercises. We're gonna get back to getting to the gym and doing those kind of things. I feel good about it. I feel positive about the things that the directions that it's heading. It's just kind of one of those things that it's I was a little bit frustrated by not being able to do anything over the couple of weeks that I was sick. Just one second. Carl Fan says, when do you finish your antibiotics? They're great, but they make you so tired. So I actually finished them a day or two ago. I think I finished them not yesterday, but the night before. So I'm done with the antibiotics, but they say that like they keep working on your system for a couple of days afterward. I picked up some yogurt and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to get everything back normal pretty soon. But yeah, it's kind of one of those tricky things where when you are sick and you have chronic illness, it makes both sides of that worse. It makes being sick worse, and it makes the chronic illness worse. So that's kind of a jerk about being sick. But overall, I feel better. Overall, I feel a lot more like myself than I have this past week. So, we will get back to doing our normal routine of things, but I'm feeling super off kilter just because my whole routine has been wrecked from being sick and from I had to cancel several streams during the time that I was sick. I haven't actually published anything on the blog in a while, with the exception of we published a review of Tales of Kalevala, which is a series of short stories based on a Dungeons and Dragons actual play by Dice Company. And I will drop a link to that review in the chat. But that was written by Rex, who goes by Reforged Existence on Blue Sky and in the Discord. But Rex wrote that, and I've got another review from Ray's that'll be coming out sometime soon too. And then hopefully somewhere in there I can also get some of my own writings published on the blog. I have been kind of busy though. I've been working on editing a collection of magic items for a friend of mine, and so hopefully we will be able to get that out in the future. But I've been working on that. I'm about a third of the way through the document. I think it's 150 magic items, and we've edited about 50 of them so far. It's really, really cool. It's a whole bunch of very small magic items. They're not really meant to be game changing, but they are the kind of thing that you can throw into a treasure pile in your Dungeons and Dragons games. And a couple of examples are like a pack of matches, but instead of striking fire, they strike cold, and you can throw one into a fire to douse it, or can throw one into a bucket of water to freeze it instantly. Things like that. One of them is a bookworm that is a small little vial with a worm in it, and if you place it between the if your character places it between the pages of a book for 10 minutes, it charges up, and then if your character eats the worm, they understand everything that was in the book, as if they had spent the time to read it themselves. So I think it's a really cool collection of magic items. I think it's going to be a really neat project once we get it out. But it may be a little while before we do that, because there's still an awful lot of art that needs to be created for it. But that has been what I've been working on a lot instead of blog posts at the moment. So for those of you who have been following the experiences of Freya, the last time that I took her to the vet, they gave me a new medication to try her on called Apoquel, and it's basically like an anti-itch sort of medication. At first I wasn't sure if I could even get her to take it, but she has been taking the medication fine. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that medication is working. The last 3 days or so, she has been itching a lot. So it's kind of going back to the drawing board on that one. I've got a soft cone to put on her, and she's tolerating it. She's tolerating it pretty well. So I've been putting that on her just so that she doesn't rip her face to shreds like she usually does. But I think I am going to end up having to take her back to the vet at some point. I'm going to try to push that off a little bit. And I don't know, then it's back to the drawing board. There's the discussion of maybe trying like a prescription food for her instead of, the typical store-bought stuff. I'm hesitant to do that because that stuff is so expensive. But I don't know. I wish I could figure out what exactly she's allergic to, and I may just need to, I may just have to go to like trying her on a single ingredient food, just trying something like tuna or turkey or something like that, like actual of it, and see how she does on something like that. Because at this point I have excluded a lot of options as far as her I've excluded a lot of options as far as things that it could be. I even tried to see if it was like maybe a plastic allergy, because I had done some reading on that, but it doesn't seem to be a plastic allergy. I've tried a couple different varieties of cat litter, so it's not something like that. I have tried, I even got an air purifier, just to see if there was something in the air that was triggering it. But, so I don't know. That said, she does seem like she's doing a little bit better. I've added some, like a supplement to her food that is really making her coat shinier and healthier. So I think we are making progress in the right direction. I'm just not really sure what's going on. Stonehome Games says, my kitty had to switch to expensive foods. Store-bought cat food has a ton of crap in it. Yeah, it really does. They include a lot of fillers and stuff. I had a cat years ago who had a chicken allergy, and we ended up having to go to a duck and green pea food for her. And once we adjusted to that, it was something that we could, she didn't have any more issues with the itching and stuff. So for whatever reason, black cats seem to be very prone to skin issues. I'm not really sure why that is. It seems to be something that's common with black cats. Trial Fan says, I know there's something cats need that's not in regular tuna, but I forget what it is. Yeah, I mean, before I start doing any kind of major adjustments to her food, I'm going to do a lot of reading. I want to make sure that whatever she is getting, is a complete diet for her. But the thing that I'm leaning towards at this point is trying to get away from the store-bought foods, just because I feel like there's got to be something. I've been watching her really closely this most recent thing, and the itching is starting around her mouth. And then it progresses to like around her face. But the fact that it's starting around her mouth suggests to me that there is something going on with the food that she's eating. Now, I have already tried a couple of different varieties of food with her, but maybe there is a filler or something that is causing the problem. I don't know. So it's kind of just a big old puzzle, and eventually I hope to figure it out, but I don't know. But I hate when she gets this itchy, because she will literally start, scratching up her face until it starts to bleed. And that's really, really problematic, and, just causes a lot of problems for her. And once it starts, it's very difficult to stop it. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to grab some more coffee, and I will be back in just a few minutes, okay? Oh, that is the wrong button. Where is it? There it is. Haha. All right, we are back. Welcome in, Stone Homie. Thank you. Trial Fan says, I just sent you a link from Cornell University on cats with food allergies. Okay, great. Thank you for that. I will give that a read in just a little bit. Yeah, we were just talking about Freya's allergies and some of the stuff that I've had problems with that. Stone Home Games says, got to get her some kitten mittens. So when I've been taking her to the vet, I've been getting her nails clipped, and that has helped a lot. She unfortunately won't let me clip them myself. I could probably do it if I had someone else to help me with it. But it's not, she doesn't settle down enough for me to clip them like when she's asleep. If she even sees the clippers come out, she'll bolt. So it's definitely something that I've had to do at the vet. If I had another person here who could help me, who could clip them while I kind of hold her down, then we could probably get through it, but that's tricky. I have thought about the little nail caps. I don't know how well those work, and I'm kind of anxious about like if she tries to pull them off or something like that. But Bearded Halfling says, my dog is allergic to wheat, makes his skin flare up. Yeah, and grains like that show up an awful lot in dog and cat food. So I'm not really sure what's up with that. But yeah, I'm thinking at this point maybe it's like one of the fillers or something. Stonehome Game says, got to switch to lurking and do some work. Have some good AMAs and a great day. Thanks for hanging out with us, Stonehome Games. I appreciate it. And always thank you for the lurk. Lurking is always helpful because it gets more watch hours and things like that. So if you are tuning in, please make sure that you hit that like button, because that helps spread my streams to other viewers. It helps the YouTube algorithm kind of promote everything. So it's always a good thing to do. But yeah, thank you for that link, Trial Fan. I will read that after this stream is over. We'll take a look at it. Bearded Halfling says, oh yeah, it's in loads. We have like one brand we can use confidently. Yeah, and the tricky thing, we ran into this with the cat that I mentioned before, who had a skin allergy that was allergic to chicken. You know, they will sometimes just change the ingredients in the cat food, and won't even really make a notice about it. So we ended up getting to the point where we had to check the ingredients list every single time that we bought a bag of cat food, because, you know, they would not have a chicken filler, and then all of a sudden they would, probably because it was cheap, and they could fit it into what they were trying to do. So, you know, it's a pain in the butt. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good regulation when it comes to pet food, and it's just kind of a constant issue if you have a pet that has any kind of special dietary needs or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm hoping that eventually I'll figure it out with Freya. It's kind of an ongoing thing. I was sitting with her the other day, and I joked with her that, you know, not enough that I have a chronic illness, that she has to have one too. So I talk to my cat all the time, constantly, because I live alone, and Freya is the only other living creature here. So we have entire conversations, and sometimes she just stares at me, and she talks back. So who knows? Ow. Freya. Hi. Here. There she is. Still looking kind of pretty for the moment. Face hasn't gotten too torn up yet, but yeah, I've been talking about you a lot. I have. We've been talking about all of your itchies and stuff. Okay, hold on. Have your treats. Her eyes have been very bright lately, though, and I like that. That's usually a good sign that she's doing, for the most part, pretty well. Kayla, how have you been doing? Good to see you in my stream again. Are you still playing? I think you said you were playing Monster Hunter Wilds last time I talked to you. I have never actually played any of the Monster Hunter games, and at some point, especially now that Wilds is out, I think, you know, some of the earlier games are probably going to go on sale really, really cheap. I may finally pick one up, just because I've heard good things about the series, but I've never played any of them. So I know Stone Homie has been playing Suikoden because they just had the just came out with the remasters of that. Kayla says, I have 2 Mario figures I would like you to have. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Well, send me a message about it and we'll chat. I know that you are local, so. Kayla says, I have Monster Hunter World and Rise. But Wilds is the first Monster Hunter game that I have a really hard time justifying paying full price for games. I don't think I've ever. I think the only game recently, and I say recently, like in the last, I don't know, like 10, 15 years probably. The last game that I bought full price was probably Elden Ring. And I liked Elden Ring. It was really fun. It was a lot of the amount of exploration and stuff in that one was really good. I might actually download Elden Ring again and play through it again. I haven't played the DLC though. I didn't pick up the DLC for that one, so but I think Elden Ring was the last game that I paid full price for. Kayla says, it's fun. I also don't like to pay full price for games. Yeah, I mean, especially these days, sales and stuff on PC games are so, you find them all the time. Stone Homie says, I paid full price for Suikoden. I would have paid more. I need to play those because I've never played the Suikoden games either. I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do after I finish Final Fantasy IV Ultima. I think I might try one of the ROM hacks of Final Fantasy VI. I've heard that there are some good ones for that. And I haven't played Final Fantasy VI in several years, so it's been a while since I've revisited it. Bearded Halflings, catch you later. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. I appreciate it. I was playing Super Castlevania 4, which was one of the few Castlevania games that came out for the Super Nintendo. I was playing that last night, and I really enjoy that one. I might stream that sometime soon. Kayla says, I bought 2 copies of Monster Hunter Wilds, one for me and one for my friend, because they bought me Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I have Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first one, but I haven't played it yet. I picked it up back during the Steam sale because it was on a really, really good discount back then. The Steam summer sale. So that was almost a year ago now. Like what, 8 months now, something like that. 8 or 9 months. So at some point I'll download it and play it. I've heard really good things about that series. Don't Know Me says there are some zesty Final Fantasy VI ROM hacks. Yeah, there's several good ones. Kayla says I've never played 6. It's on the list. Final Fantasy VI is really, really good. It is one of the best RPGs on the Super Nintendo. It's right up there with Final Fantasy IV. It's right up there with Chrono Trigger. I like it better than 5. The storyline is fantastic. It is really, really solid. And I like the way the whole game works. And I'm absolutely, like, Kefka is my favorite villain from any Final Fantasy game. He is absolutely insane, and I just... Kayla says they gave away the first one on Epic during Christmas. I have it too. I have a whole bunch of games on Epic Games that I picked up for free over the years. I have never actually, well, I won't say never. I have played a couple of them, but I always forget that I have games on Epic that I've gotten for free. And I need to look through them before I buy something on Steam. I just prefer the Steam platform overall. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, they've been giving away games for free on Epic Games for ages now, and there's a ton of folks that have, you know, different games that popped up on there. I always forget too that, like, Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime, they have a lot of free games as well that they pop up through there. So I miss the days of the old school Humble Bundles, though, because old school Humble Bundles, like nowadays, their lowest tier, you pay like $10 and you get like 3 or 5 games, right? Back in the day, you could pay $1 and get like 12 games. They were serious deals back in the day. Kayla says, but Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is amazing. Gilgamesh is probably the best thing about Final Fantasy V. He is absolutely incredible. Which reminds me that in Final Fantasy IV Ultima, we have seen Gilgamesh once. We saw him at the Mount Ordeals, but we haven't seen him since, so that's kind of a little odd. I'm not sure if he shows up in other places in the game or not. But again, that's the ROM hack. Britflix, welcome in. Hello, hello. We are just doing kind of a just chatting stream today. We're answering a bunch of questions, talking about video games, talking about epilepsy, talking about tabletop, tabletop role-playing games. Talked about music. We've talked about cats. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will talk about them. Britflix says that ghost bro behind you looks like he's peeing. that's the power cord. I have not thought about that, but I guess you're right. It does kind of look like he's peeing a little bit. So that is King Boo, and I got that for I got that neon sign. It's actually LED, it's not neon. I I got that for a Christmas gift. I like it a lot, even if you got to be weird. Also, my caution radioactive hazardous material sign that I picked up for like $5 at a yard sale, and I don't know where it came from, but I love it. I absolutely love that sign. It's like caution radioactive material in this area or something like that. I bet if I brought a Geiger counter, it's probably very faintly radioactive, but hopefully not too much that is in my house. Britflix says maybe he's on a stick. Yeah, that we'll go with that. We'll go with that. It's probably on a stick rather than peeing. Oh. Britflix, thank you for letting Lydia watch my streams this weekend. She was a gem to have in the streams with us, and she was very entertaining. So Britflix says ghosts don't pee. I don't know about that. How much do you know about ghosts? How sure are you on that one? All right, guys, y'all got to drop me some questions because I'm sitting here trying to think of things to talk about, and I am running out of stuff. So whatever you want to know, drop it in chat, and we will talk about it. Britflix says she's pretty cool. She felt more confident since getting her braces 6 days ago. She even borrowed my phone to take a selfie on the way to school. Britflix says, I know how ghosts are made. I'm glad that Lydia is feeling more confident. He had mentioned that she was a little scared about going to school, going back to school after she got her braces on, but I had told her that that it would be fairly normal and that she was hitting the age where a lot of kids are going to have braces, and even if they didn't have them yet, several of them would have them soon. So also, pretty much everyone in my chat told her that if anyone made fun of her, they would go and beat them up. So we had an entire army of people willing to come to her defense if anyone tried to make fun of her. Kayla said, I hope you start feeling better. For the most part, I am feeling better. I am. For the most part, I am feeling better. I have, last week I was in all sorts of a mess. I was congested and my throat hurt, and I couldn't breathe through my nose and all kinds of stuff. It was terrible. Kayla says, how about this weather, huh? The weather is gorgeous right now. It is absolutely beautiful outside, and I can't wait to... I'm gonna try to go for a walk after I finish this stream. Britflix says, Lydia told me that she had a flash mob at the ready to descend upon her middle school, and she's here for it. Cass says, okay, here's a question. What kind of worlds are most appealing for you to run games in? If you were going to use a setting that you didn't make yourself, what would make it the best fit? I actually would. I would run a game in Dramaria. I really like what Stonehome Games is doing there. I think it's a really cool setting, and I would run a game in Dramaria. When I have used published settings from like TSR or Wizards of the Coast, I really love the Planescape setting. I have run several games in Planescape, and I really enjoy that one. I like a lot of the detail in Forgotten Realms, but I don't actually enjoy running games in it all that much. I've never run a game in Eberron. I am finding myself more and more interested in the Mystara setting, which is an older setting. Bitflix says, why do fools fall in love? Because they are fools. That's why. She says, don't do it. It's so polleny out there. It is very polleny out there, and that might be a little bit of a problem. Kayla says, if you were fixing to be attacked by 4 gargoyles, would you try to make one of them your dog? I don't know how to answer that question. But it just makes me think of the old Gargoyles animated show, and I really liked that show, and I need to watch it again. Gargoyles and the Batman animated series were the 2 cartoons that I watched a ton of back in the day. So I really want to watch the Gargoyles show again. Britflix says, gargoyles are pretty hot. I'd put a chain on one, if you know what I mean. Stonehomie says, there was a movie called Tales from the Dark Side that had a short in it about a guy that falls in love with a gargoyle. Okay. Can I pet that dog? Kayla says, asking for vindication for my D&D characters. I didn't think you were playing D&D. I thought you were playing Cypher System. Are you playing Dungeons and Dragons now? I mean, if you're playing any kind of tabletop role-playing game, the obvious answer is you have to make at least one monster your pet, because that's just how things work. Donami says, all you need to have a gargoyle is a high place for it to perch from. Kayla says, I mean, it worked, just cost me a little bit of XP. Basalt is the stoniest pup. Well, there you go. What happened to the other 3 gargoyles? Flick says, I gotta go. Just got home and baby Sean's grumpy from getting shots today. Oh, shots are always the trickiest part of checkups. So I hope baby Sean starts feeling better, and I hope that you can get him to settle down and relax. So thank you for popping in, Britflix. going back to Cass's question about settings, as far as like just the general vibe though, Kobold Press's Midgard setting is probably the one that really vibes with my style the most. When I think about the types of detail that I want to include in my settings, and the types of interactions between cultures and things like that, Midgard and Kobold Press is probably right up there. I've never actually run a game in Midgard, although in the early drafts of my Warpwalkers setting, a lot of it was just pulled, wholesale from the Midgard setting. As that setting has evolved over time, the Midgard elements have kind of disappeared. But it has it's definitely one that I would probably pick to run a game in, if there weren't anything else. Kayla says the other gargoyles are no longer with us, but Basalt is. Well, that's good. They didn't like the Stonard treats. All right, guys, I think we are going to wrap this stream up. It's a little bit sooner than I normally do, but Cass says, man, I've got chicken in the slow cooker for tacos tonight. I made just beef tacos last night, and they were really good. I was really pleased with them. The house smells too good for dinner to not be for 6 hours. That's the problem with anything in the slow cooker. It just makes everything smell so good. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this stream up. I want to try to get out and get my walk in. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully this weekend we will be back to doing our normal video game streams. This was a really nice way to kind of keep my stream on schedule, but like I said, I wasn't able to do the video games today just because of brainmeat stuff. Drew Makes says, woo, still streaming. Actually, I am just in the process of wrapping things up. Trial Fan says, we're making tacos too. Bye, Wobble. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Drew. We are wrapping up at the moment. But hey, Drew, if you have a question for the Ask Me Anything, pop it in right now real quick, and I will answer it before we leave. Cass says, just caught the tail end, I'm afraid, Drew. LOL. Drew has a really bad habit of that. Drew always ends up catching the very tail end of my streams and pops in right as I'm about to log off. And I think it's happened, several times so far. So I think it's because my 11 a.m. Eastern stream time happens right while Drew is doing his commute. So unfortunately, he doesn't get to see a lot of my streams. So yeah, last call for questions. Drew Makes, last TTRPG you played. So if we are actually counting solo RPGs, the last one that I played was Seamus Connolly's Among the Starlit Wreckage, which, hold on one second, let me pull it off the shelf. which is Lost Among the Starlit Wreckage. And it is this really cool solo RPG where you play as a mecha pilot. And the premise of the game is that you were caught in some sort of a battle, and your mecha is paralyzed in space. It is damaged beyond repair, and you are just drifting through a debris field in space, and you are sending out messages, and it has a whole bunch of prompts. Like, it asks you, how did you end up in the military? What do you think about being dragged into this war? You know, different stuff like that. And what's really cool about it is it uses playing cards. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the red cards are supposed to be systems of your robot that are failing. And you can attempt each round to repair some of them, but over time they start disappearing. And if you accidentally, if you fail at repairing too many of them, there's always the possibility that your mecha may explode, and you don't get to finish your messages. There is the possibility that you are rescued at the end, that you are saved from your fate. But it's a really interesting game. It's almost more of a guided journaling, guided creative writing kind of system. But it's got a really cool premise. I really enjoy it. And again, that is by Seamus Connolly. And it's just a really cool game. It can be played with 1 or 2 players. You can actually have the second player be someone who is sending messages back to the pilot. So that's kind of cool too. As far as like traditional team-based tabletop role-playing games, the last one I played was Dungeons and Dragons. A buddy of mine ran a one-shot a couple weeks ago, and I played in that, and that was kind of fun. It was just sort of a basic dungeon crawl kind of thing, but it was pretty neat. We were playing 3rd edition, well, 3.5. So that was kind of a throwback, because I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 since I was in college, but I really enjoyed that one as well. So yeah, like I said, we are going to wrap this up. Thank you for that wonderful question, Drew. That was a great one to kind of end on, I think. I'm going to get out and do my walk before I run out of too much energy. And thank you everybody for your questions, and thank you for popping in and chatting with me today. Saturday we will have Final Fantasy IV Ultima, and we have just finished up the Cave of Monsters, and I was in the process of kind of getting some extra gold so that we pick up some of those items from there before we left. And then we will go into the Sealed Cave, which is the next part of the storyline in Final Fantasy IV Ultima. And then on Sunday, we will have Sunday Night NES, and I believe we will be playing Metroid for Sunday Night NES. So thanks again. Make sure you hit that like button. If this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I will see you guys this weekend. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for hanging out. And we will chat again coming up. So thanks again, guys. See you later.